Hey there, my name is Russ Fugel. I'm the founding editor of Sara.ai Books, and these are my three children. They were each struggling readers in unique ways, yet their reading proficiency today in grades 6, 4, and 1 are well above the 90th percentiles. I'm an award-winning children's book author with over a decade of project management experience. Last year, I graduated from the University of Utah with a degree in writing studies, and this year, I'm an executive MBA candidate at the Quantic School of Business and Technology. I started Sara.ai Books because 10 to 15 million children in the United States are struggling with literacy. In fourth grade, 1 in 3 readers are below even basic levels of literacy. Only 1 in 3 are proficient, and fewer than 1 in 10 are advanced. This literacy gap exists within schools and even classrooms, and often even between siblings. It persists through to high school and into adulthood, and has stubbornly persisted through generations, despite decades of research, television programs, and now even attention-hacking mobile apps. My vision for Sara is an artificial instructor, an AI, that helps people learn to read. When we think about the challenge of artificial tutors approaching, much less surpassing, the efficacy of human teachers, we might see very little of the human touch that can be replicated without a fantastic breakthrough in artificial intelligence. Because the competency of computing is very different from the competencies of humans. So it's easy to get stuck in this paradigm of computer versus human, where the humans always win until the dystopian moment we don't. But we can change the paradigm to thinking about humans augmented by computers, and what can be done with that synergy that simply can't be done in human-to-human instruction. This paradigm is called intelligence amplification, where rather than thinking about artificial intelligence replacing human labor, we develop a hybrid intelligence. So simply, what I'm developing is like an IDE for emerging readers, an environment that augments their human abilities with responsive immersion powered by impossibly fast computations. I wrote a story about learning to read from the perspective of a non-reader, Sara and the Puka. Let's listen to a moment in her words as she spends a night in a castle far away from home.
Laying in bed, I think about what the Puka said before it vanished. Can I really learn how to escape the castle from books in the library? The trouble is, I don't know how to read. Mother makes it look so easy, just like she's telling a story she has told 100 times. Of course, I know that when Mother reads a book aloud, she is just repeating what is written on the page and not just telling it from memory. One time, when I was younger, Mother read a story from a book with no pictures in it. I looked at Mother's face as she read and tried to get Mother to look up at me. When I placed my hands on Mother's cheeks and brought Mother's face to look at me, Mother stopped reading and then patiently said, "Sara, would you like me to continue the story?" I responded that I did, to which Mother replied, "I can't read the story to you without looking at the book." After that day, when Mother would read to me, I would sometimes try to figure out how a book with no pictures could tell Mother what to say. Sometimes while reading, Mother would point at the page and slowly move from the top, across the page, back, then across again, and so on until she got to the bottom. But no matter how hard I tried, I could not make any sense of it.
In Sara's story, the Puka, on her right shoulder, introduces her to an old practice of aided reading that has created literate populations for thousands of years, but with a trickster's twist that pulls letters off the page. I call this old practice with a new twist a practice of engaged aided reading, or learning to read by ear. Aided reading is a simple practice. We could do it together on this slide as we read through the unfamiliar words together. So we know what half of ear is, aided reading. What is engagement? I wrote a book about it and did a whole presentation about it at UCET2021. I think some of you attending today were there. But simply, I'm talking about letter-wise engagement that is enforced through a practice of phonemic recoding. But it's also possible to come at this engagement from other ways. Aided reading is so easy to automate, it's not worth getting into. But I've tested several methods to automate this enforced letter-wise engagement. This example simply runs in a Unix terminal. It has very primitive design and not really any gamification.
Correct.
But look how much my daughter is enjoying it.
1, 2, or 3. Great job. Hat is Hat. 1, 2, or 3.
I already did it.
Keep going. Eat is eat. 1, 2, or 3.
So here's where we stop dreaming about what I'm imagining and working towards. Let's talk about what I've built and to what end. Fluency is vital to enjoying and comprehending the written word, and high-frequency word fluency is a basic metric for early grade readers, as well as older, struggling readers. Heart words, flash words, sight words, however they're theorized, proficient readers accurately recognize these frequent words in a fraction of a second. So for early grade teachers who want to better monitor student progress in high-frequency word fluency, Sara.ai Books introduces printable, offline worksheets for fluent reading. Through clever design and with just a paper and pencil, these worksheets intelligently probe and document sight word fluency. Why paper? Because it just works. It can be handed out in class and sent home to mom and dad, and frankly, between Lexia, Mandarin Matrix, Reflex, Moby Max, Prodigy, Xbox, Switch, Wii, Disney+, my kids spend far too much time on screen. But unlike static high-frequency word lists and activities, these graded worksheets automatically update student profiles and make progress queryable. I'm working on visualizations for a teacher dashboard, and I want to know about your thoughts. You can email me at the email at the end of this if you have ideas for what should be on that dashboard. Even if you can't think up all the ways you might one day use that student-specific, word-specific fluency data, we can use it to make new worksheets. I have over 1,000 lines of code working with cutting-edge natural language processing tools and other data to parse through thousands of sentences in the blink of an eye, choosing the best sentences to put in front of the student to accelerate their learning and build their identity as a strong reader. So with that, here's a recap. Sara.ai Worksheets are printable, offline worksheets for early grade teachers. They have forced letter-wise engagement through a matching activity, and they intelligently probe and document sight word fluency. And anybody can grade a worksheet. They just have to create an account at worksheets.sara.ai and scan the QR code that's on the worksheet. So parents can grade worksheets, teachers can grade worksheets, assistants can grade worksheets. But what it does is it creates a database of the sight words that every student knows. So with that database, we can do student pairing for cohorts or peer aids, where students can help each other learn how to read. These algorithms in my backend server, they target an 80% familiarity, which means there's only one word in the sentence that the student might not know. And it's easy online grading, which is open to parents. So parents can get involved. You can send worksheets home with the students and parents can help them complete it and do the grading. So that being said, let's transition over to a quick example. This is my daughter completing the first placement worksheet.
My name is Sarah. I am 6. I have a sister. She has a cat. What do you make of that? 1 foot, 2 foot, my heart, and a nose. On my foot I have 5 toes.
And now let's take a look at the interface. So going to worksheets.sara.ai, after you create a user profile, you're brought to this page where you can add your first name, last name, state, and that's all you need to register as a parent. If you want to register as a teacher, you're going to need to include a mobile phone number because we're going to have a verification process. This product is free to teachers, and they get more features than parents will. After we fill this in, if we go over to the parent profile, you can see we can add a student. I added Lucy Smith here, and we can also, if the student is already enrolled in a classroom using worksheets, we can connect to a classroom account. So connect an existing student profile. We simply put in the classroom ID, a PIN, and then a district assigned student ID. We only need one of these. So a PIN is automatically generated for each student. Every teacher has a classroom ID or multiple classrooms. And then we have the student's first name, last name, and date of birth. And with that, we can, any one of the classroom ID, the student ID, the PIN, and then these other things that the parent's going to know, we can match a student and connect to that profile. Now let's look at the teacher. So the teacher can actually come in here and let's say Alpine Elementary in the city of Alpine, Utah, 84004. We can upgrade to teacher. Now there's going to be a verification process later, but so far it automatically updates and now we have access to create a classroom. So we can say my first grade A track and hit add. And now we have a classroom. A classroom ID is assigned right here, and then we can add a student. So let's choose a grade. We said it's first grade, and we can do a first name. Let's do Jeremy Smith, and we'll do a birth date of 2014. And then we can put a preferred name in here. It defaults to just first name, last initial. We can do a student ID, but again, that's not necessary. And this PIN is randomly generated. Optionally, we can put in a gender, a race, whether they're an English language learner, a special ed student. And down here, we can allow parents to add and edit student information with their classroom ID and date of birth. So you see the instructions there. Then we can hit update profile. And now we have in our classroom a student. Now we go to new worksheets. And because I have both a parent and a student here, I can choose either one of these. I can add a student's name to the printed worksheet and hit generate worksheet. Here in generate worksheet, this is the first placement because Jeremy's never done this before. And so we have these 15 sentences with the word match activity where the focus word or the practice word is outlined here in orange and the matches are in orange below here. And what we're asking the student to do is if they know, for example, the word mother, if they can read this and say, that woman is like my mother, and they don't hesitate to say mother, then we have them find the match and put a check mark next to it. If there's any hesitation on any words, that means it's not a sight word. So if the student says that woman, that's, even though they can read the word, that's not a sight word. So we're going to underline it. And then if they struggle with mother, then we're going to go ahead and underline that match rather than putting a check mark next to it. And those instructions are right here for the student and the parents. And then what we can do is we can print that worksheet and we can hand it out to the students. And once it's printed, you just simply scan the QR code to go to the grading site. But if you're still in this screen, we can simply go to grade worksheet. And here we are grading the worksheet for Jeremy S. And we have two columns here, the practice words, those that were outlined in orange, and the other words, everything else that was on the sheet. And these are sorted alphabetically. The other words are sorted alphabetically. The practice words are sorted in the order they appeared. And we can simply select all and perhaps unselect any words that they struggled with. Right? And then we can hit grade worksheet. Now it says the worksheet was successfully graded, and we can create a new worksheet for Jeremy. And we have this new worksheet. And the algorithms are running in the background, and here we are. Here's Jeremy's second placement test. So all of these focus words are gradually progressing to a point where we can assess where Jeremy is at. And the sentences surrounding them, we're trying to find words that from the previous worksheets we already know that Jeremy knows to make them easier to read. So this is the number 6, and they just go through and they do everything here. And again, if you've printed this off, you scan the QR code to grade it. And then we go back to grade worksheet. And now what we have is Jeremy has some sight words. Jeremy likely had no problem with these words because we've seen him have no problem with them in the past. So if we does have a problem, we can unselect any words that Jeremy did not read easily. So if he struggled with ground this time, we can unselect it. And then on the practice words, we can say, well, maybe he only got a few of these, and we're doing a placement here, right? So maybe he got old, big, cut, eat. Some of these shorter words, maybe not tail, right? And then we have these other words. Eventually, as we place Jeremy, this list is going to shrink down to almost nothing because what we're trying to do is have just sight words and practice words. But for now, let's say he got none of these other words. He had to sound all of them out. Now we're going to hit Grade Worksheet, and when we create a new one, now Jeremy is basically leveled. And we have sentences here that are fit to his level. So when we hit Grade Worksheet, again, we have all these sight words, we have these focus words, and we do have a lot of these other words, but some of these, we're guessing that he actually knows these based on what words he's already fluent in. So he may have some difficulty with some of these, but as we go forward and as he does more and more sheets, that gets less and less. So now we go and we can go back to our teacher profile. We can add some more students. We can add another classroom. Eventually, within a classroom, you'll be able to make reading groups, and you'll be able to create worksheets that are focused on students individually, or worksheets that are made for a whole reading group where the students can all work on the same worksheet, or for the whole classroom. So, and then we have this peer matching where we can actually create this environment where the reading group can help each other with the words that they don't know. So they can all work together on the same sheet. Every student knowing every word on those sheets, at least one of the students in the reading group is going to know them, and they can help each other out that way. So it's a work in progress, and right now, if you try to go to the dashboard, it just takes you to the new worksheet. I don't have a dashboard yet, but it is a concierge service for teachers. If you want a report, or if you want a list of sight words that a student knows, simply email me and I will get that over to you. And as I get an idea from you of what you want for your students, I'm going to be developing the dashboard, so that's available at your fingertips. So again, for teachers, this is currently a concierge service. If you create these worksheets and you want any sort of reports pulled from the databases that these worksheets populate, simply email me Sara.ai.books@gmail.com and I will get back to you on that. If you have any other needs, just email me. If you have a batch of worksheets from 30 kids that you need graded and you just don't have the time, throw them in the scanner and email me that PDF and I'll take care of it for you. If you need to print out 30 worksheets, I can't print for you and run them over to your office, but what I can do is put them all in a single PDF and email it to you and you can print them off. So I am here to help you, and I want to make this succeed, and I want to make your students succeed, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.